Hi, I'm Ryan Madison, the head girls basketball coach of the Lafayette Lady Irish, and this is our 2017-2018 Lady Irish risk management video for parents. We're going to start with preparing for our activities. Any type of brace or any protective equipment that the girls have, they need to make sure they have those at every practice. The clothing and their shoes should be the proper fit. They should have the equivalent of 4 to 6 glasses of water each day. They should wear the proper type of socks, thick enough socks, not these real thin ones. Anymore, they're wearing all these decorative socks and things like that. Those could easily cause blisters and things like that, so you need to make sure they have proper basketball athletic socks. People who have any type of vision issues and don't wear contacts, if they have glasses, they need to make sure they're shatterproof, or they can wear rec specs, wear those goggles. If they have contacts, they need to have an extra set with them in case one would get knocked out, so they can still use those contacts, or at least some cleaning solution for the contact. Any type of taping that needs to be done, the girls need to be there early to have that done. Anybody with a pre-existing condition, such as asthma, you need to let the coaches know. High-top basketball shoes are suggested, only that not necessarily. A lot of people differ in whether those are actually going to help with a sprained ankle. Either way, high-top or low-top basketball shoes, they need a court shoe, an approved basketball shoe, and then also they need to make sure, preferably, they wear ankle braces. That's the easiest way to prevent a sprained ankle. If they have any kind of dental work done, they should also have some kind of a mouth guard to protect that dental work. Around the locker room areas, they need to make sure they remember there are benches out in the middle of the locker room area. Sometimes people don't see those and hit them. Also, the floors could be wet. They also need to make sure that any shampoo or soap, those kinds of things, they leave in the shower area and not out in the locker room area. Also need to make sure there's not any kind of rough housing. There's metal lockers, again, those benches and things like that. They need to be careful when they're in those areas. Specifically to basketball, again, we talk about dehydration. They need to make sure that they are hydrated. 4 to 6 glasses of water, the old saying, when you are thirsty, it's too late. They need to make sure they take care of that. They need to make sure that if they need a break for a drink, they tell us, although we will build several breaks for drinks into practice. If they have any kind of foot problems like blisters, again, they need to talk to us, and we can get those taped up, or the athletic trainer take care of them. Also need to make sure they're aware when they're in the gym, the walls and bleachers are a very close proximity, and they need to make sure they are aware of that. If they have any kind of a floor burn, like a bad floor burn, they need to let us know, and the athletic trainer can get something done in that area also. A big one is ankle sprains, and I would recommend to the parents that you do not automatically take the kid to the emergency room when they roll their ankle. They're going to take an x-ray of it. It's very unlikely that it's broken. We're not saying that's not a possibility, but it's highly unlikely that it's an actual broken ankle. More than likely, it's just a sprain. So the first 48 hours, I would work with RICE, that acronym RICE, which stands for rest, ice, compression, and elevation. Stay off of it. Get ice on it. An ice bucket works extremely well, but just a bag of ice wrapped around it would help. Get some kind of compression, an ACE bandage when you're not icing it. An ACE bandage will help, and then elevate it. Get it up above the head. Stay off of it as much as you can that first 24 hours or so. If they're able to walk on it, within that first 24 hours or so, then it's probably okay anyway. If not, just do that. If there's, if it's really bad swelling way up the leg or something like that, then maybe you take them to the emergency room. But that 48 hours is going to make no difference, and 90% of the time it's going to save you money in taking kids to the emergency room. Also, kids with asthma, they have rescue inhalers or any kind of inhaler, they need to make sure they let us know about that. Of course, we will have physicals and we will know in that situation. And also, it also helps to take that medicine prior to the asthma attack hitting, instead of waiting until they can't breathe. Do that preventatively. This is not much of a problem in girls basketball, but we want to make sure we're not hanging on the rims. We want to make sure we're not engaging in rough or thoughtless play, swinging elbows, intentional fouls that could hurt a teammate or another person. We're going to have good sportsmanship, and those kinds of things can cause serious injuries. Also, there's no hazing. There's no initiation for freshmen and those sorts of things. And any type of hazing incident that you hear of, the coaches are always going to try to make sure those do not occur. If you hear of anything like that, you let us know, and those people will be dealt with swiftly. Also, if there's any injury at all, sometimes the coaches don't know about every injury. You need to let us know or the athletic trainers know, and we will deal with that. If your daughter is hurt and they won't tell us, sometimes we can't tell. So you need to let us know so we can take care of that situation. Post practice, make sure they have rides if they're not driving. Also, be careful if they're getting a ride. Make sure it's someone they know. And if they're walking home, make sure they live right around this area, or we can easily get one of the girls who has a license to give them a quick ride home. And obviously, they want to be careful, wear a seatbelt, and those kinds of things. But don't ever get in a car with someone that they do not know. The last thing we're going to talk about is in the likely event of an emergency. This is basketball. There are injuries. Sometimes, 90% of the time, they're just easy, first aid things that do not amount to much. But sometimes there are major injuries. If you saw what happened to the Boston Celtics player recently, now that's a major injury. If there is an injury, the coaches need to know about it. If we see it happen, obviously we will know. If we can tell something different about the player, the way they run, etc., we'll take care of it. But if there's something serious, we have an athletic trainer on site who is at almost every practice, and we can take care of those things. Obviously, we would notify the parent immediately. But if there's something that happens that we don't know about, you need to let us know, and we will take care of it. Players need to be alert to any injuries they see at practice that we may not see. There's 30 kids in the gym. There's 3 coaches. Sometimes we can't see everything happen. If there's something that you think someone's hurt, they need to tell us. Practice will be stopped if there's a serious injury. We will get our trainer up there immediately. The players could be asked to call someone, although usually a coach would call the parent immediately. We'll keep all the onlookers away, sit or kneel in close proximity to the player, not get too close to them, not get right around them. Sometimes you have knee injuries, things like that. People want to be close, they're upset, but we need to keep them away, give them some room there so we can take care of them. And then other than that, the only other thing we could tell you is, if there were such a fire, that kind of thing, fire, bomb threat, something, we would leave through the doors on the south end of the school to the brick road and across the street to where we're 150 feet away if it's in case of fire, 200 feet in case of a bomb threat. Highly unlikely there would be any kind of a tornado. We will discuss this with them, but we would go down to the locker room and get up against the wall, up against the locker room where we have our pre-game meetings. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me. You have my cell number, and this sheet has been sent home. All of this information needs to be signed by the parent and sent back to us as soon as possible. Thank you. We look forward to a safe, exciting 2017-2018 season. Thank you.